Hello, my name is Cheyenne and I'm going to talk to you about the Seneca Falls Convention. The Seneca Falls Convention was a women's rights convention held in 1848 in New York. It was led by Lucretia Mott and Elizabeth Cady Stanton along with a few other reformers in the area at the time. Mott and Stanton were both strong advocates for ending slavery. They met in London at a World Anti-Slavery Convention, but they were not allowed to be a part of it based solely on their gender. This sparked them to want to hold a convention of their own for women's rights. Luckily, back home, there were reformers who were already fighting for women's rights. These women included Mary McClintock, Martha Coffin Wright, and Jane Hunt. Together, these 5 women planned out and hosted the Seneca Falls Convention. The convention lasted for 2 days. The first day, only women were allowed, however, on the second day, men were allowed to enter as well. At this convention, they presented the Declaration of Sentiments, a document that was mainly written by Stanton that laid out their grievances against men. There were 19 grievances. These grievances included things such as not being able to own property, not being able to obtain a decent education, and making women submit to laws in which they had no say in passing. They even went to say that men made them feel civilly dead. The declaration was signed by 100 people. It was signed by 68 women and by 32 men, including Frederick Douglass. They also came up with 12 resolutions at the convention. 11 of the 12 resolutions were passed unanimously. However, the 9th resolution, granting women the right to vote, was a controversial idea for many and later caused many of the original signers of the declaration to retract their signature. This convention was very important because it was the start of the women's suffrage movement. A lot of the problems that women seemed to have could simply be solved by granting them the right to vote. The fight for women's suffrage was a long and hard one. The Seneca Falls Convention was the first of many conventions held to advocate for women's rights. The opinions of the people at the time varied, especially on the issue of giving women the right to vote. It took 72 years, but in 1920, women were finally granted the right to vote. That's a crazy amount of time, but it all started with a few women who had an urge to be equal and who fought for that right as hard as they could. The convention was an important moment in our nation's history. Without it, women may still be far behind men. Although equal rights is still an issue today, this convention was a monumental part of getting us to where we are now. This convention is important for us to learn about in this course because from it came the Declaration of Sentiments, which is a very important document in our nation's history. This convention sparked a long and hard fight towards granting women the right to vote, and it is very important for people, especially women, to know where it all began and to know who helped them gain a right that may be taken for granted nowadays. Thank you. Do you have any questions?